All right, so welcome back. I think today is going to be more of a overview theory. There we go. It's a theory video, um, specifically about Doctor Who. So, Doctor is a show. I mean, I've been watching it for a while now, and I'll be honest, I've seen pretty much every episode. And this is new Who. It's like the older episodes. I haven't seen as many of them as much as I've seen the new Who stuff. So I know a lot of the old Doctor Who stuff, but everything Christopher Eccleston forward I've seen, and most episodes, each episode probably about 4 or 5 times. Okay. So I'm sure someone's had this theory before. Let's start with that. I'm not saying this is a wholly unique theory and no one's ever mentioned it before. I just haven't seen it yet because I don't have the time to search everything on the internet. So I'll just say what I'm thinking. So I've recently been thinking about the fact that it's very possible that the Doctor is God. And not like big revelation, that's one thing, but I've been thinking about that. At first I was like, well, that would be kind of, I won't say unnecessary, but it would ruin the allure of the show. Because if he's omnipotent, like what's the point? Like he knows everything that's going to happen. But then I realized there are a few episodes where he references certain things that makes it seem like he might be. One of the most specific things is there's at least two instances. There's one in season 8, I want to say it is, where the forest grows in London. And then there's another one. I mean, there's actually quite a few. There's just a few episodes where he references, like he says the phrase, like, ooh, that's new. Like, I don't actually know what's about to happen. Like when he has the episode with Heaven Sent, I want to say it is, where he's talking, he's like, ooh, I don't actually know what's about to happen. That's new. So it makes all of the, I guess, suspense of all the other episodes, like if you watch them in retrospect, you're like, oh, well, if this is the time he didn't know, and those other times he knew what was going on, then how did he know what was going on? And I get there's the thought process that they're Time Lords, they understand the flow of time, they're able to look into the untempered schism, they just have a better understanding of time, as it were. I think while that's definitely a real possibility, and I'm genuinely possibly just overthinking this, it does seem a little odd that he gets so surprised when he doesn't know stuff. You know, like it comes across as if it's someone who's like, I know everything that's going to happen because I've created everything. I'm the person who put all of this into plan, and then things change. So my thought process is that maybe the reason why you don't know his actual name and why when River whispered his name, it was this concept of like she finally figured out who he was, or who the Doctor is, because the Doctor male, female, it doesn't have to be he. Is because he's God, and the idea is that he got bored, as you would, being omnipotent, and decided, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this timeline that I know specifically what's supposed to happen, and then I'm going to let it alter on its own, right? So it'll have the same baseline, this is what's supposed to happen, but I'll allow for variance, right? Like I'll allow for things to change and surprise me, because, you know, let's see what would happen. And then that would explain the TARDIS and Gallifrey created a technology where it's bigger on the inside, you have an infinite number of rooms and traverse not only time but space and dimensions. And then it would also explain and I know that it was kind of worked in the Doctor Who before, the idea of the sonic screwdriver, kind of like the ex machina, like this thing is going to get me out of any situation, but it would explain how it works, because I know he said before, like it's like point and think, but that doesn't necessarily make sense for the idea of the sonic screwdriver. Like if it's a sonic screwdriver, thinking has nothing to do with it. You know, like if you're using something, like let's say, God, really anything, like a car, anything, like if it's telepathic, right? Then you know, like there's more to it than just it's a sonic screwdriver that opens stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like they reference it in I want to say it's Day of the Doctor. He mentions that the screwdriver scans something, and then it goes into the root program of the screwdriver, and then and through all the iterations, it continues running the program in the background in order for them to unlock the door, even though the door wasn't locked. So yeah, I think that the regenerations, not all of them, but a lot of them, have had some form of at least in the Christianity sense, like a Jesus cross, like arms out, head usually up instead of like hung down, but like energy, expending from them and making sort of like a cross, and then it being like a rebirth, like a regeneration, a resurrection, as you were. Not say that I think they were trying to be overtly religious, but it's something I was thinking about lately because there's a lot of talk that the Doctor has in the show that seems like he realized there was a mistake that was made and he's trying to fix it. You know? Like he made a universe, it functioned the way that he intended it to. But then he made this new universe that can change because he was like, well, if I interject in little ways here and there, like maybe it'll change in a way that it'll be different, something that I'm not expecting, but maybe they'll still turn out well. Okay. Again, because through all of the show, and I'm sure somebody's written down all of the rules that the Doctor's come up with. They either told River or Amy or anyone. But the number one rule is the Doctor lies. So if the Doctor is always lying, anything that the Doctor says is not true, then none of it, like any of the age, where the Doctor comes from, how regeneration, any of it, it's all lies. It's like rule one, the Doctor lies. So I was thinking about it the other day. I was watching, again, the episode where the forest grew in London, and the Doctor was talking to Clara, and they had this whole little back and forth talking throughout the episode, as they do, Doctor companion, that dynamic. But then at the end of it, Clara saying, "Oh well, humanity's going to remember this. Like, this is going to be something crazy for the future." Doctor's like, "Nah, people just forget." And she was like, "Nah, there's no way people are going to forget. Like trees growing all over the world, no huge solar flares. Like, yeah, of course they forget. But that's humanity deals with its past. Because if not, you wouldn't have wars or kids." Which was an interesting, the wars thing, I get, they say that a lot. But the kids thing, it's definitely an interesting thing to say, because I'll be honest, if people thought about just what it takes to have kids, right? Like to raise them, to shelter them to the extent that you can from the outside world and the negative influences. As you get older, you're like, man, this was just the difficult road. Like I love my kid, but this was a difficult road. So, yeah, people, and I know there's, science behind why, people have kids and why they forget about the struggle that is child rearing. But yeah, it's just the conversation that he had with Clara, and then rethinking about past conversations he had with past companions, the way that the Doctor regenerates, the way that the Doctor goes about all of the stories, it just seems like a deity who's grown apathetic and created an alternate timeline, just kind of hoping that things would turn around or things would surprise them, and then they would reinvest themselves in the concept of this reality that they've sort of shaped. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. That's the best way I guess I can explain. They grew tired of the way that things were. It was set a certain way. This is how things are. This is how it will always be, right? And then they're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Create this other alternate version. I'm going to interject myself into that version and then I'm just gonna see what happens. And then, you know, if I need to interject, which I think is part of the whole, the TARDIS ends up where it needs to go, because there are times where it goes too far from the way it's supposed to be. I was like, oh, I gotta fix that, and then, like, you know, write history, as it were, and then kind of move things forward. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing a lot more in reference to Doctor Who. There's so much to talk about, and I could literally do that for days as well. So very much like Lois and Clark, and some other shows that I'm gonna start doing. I'll do probably season reviews, but again, want to see more specific and like detailed like episode reviews, like there's an episode, or you just want to kind of go back and forth and you have your thoughts. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know TV shows, movies, again, music, anything. I'm enjoying the fact that people are commenting, and congratulations, we're almost to 1,000 subscribers as of this video. We're at like 800 and change. So I appreciate everybody that's been subscribing, the people that are commenting. Thanks. I'm glad you guys are liking the videos. Any comments you have on future content, anime, TV shows, anything like that, again, leave it down in the description below. And that's it.